Hey Grinch, isn't that a fabulous place here? Yeah. Hey all people, how are you doing tonight? So let me take you on a journey with me through the mystified land of dyslexia. And we'll show you why having a dyslexic brain will actually make you rich. This sounds quite counterintuitive in the beginning, I know, but listen carefully and you will be surprised in the end. I can really tell you it will be interesting. So have you ever wondered what dyslexia actually is? Dyslexia and why we should actually care. So we should actually care because about 70% of the general population are affected. This is 1 in 6 people. Just as a little example here, we have 150 fabulous people joining us tonight. This is, in theory, 25 people who are affected by dyslexia right here in the room, and roughly 2 per table, which is quite a remarkable number, I think. So dyslexia was first identified 130 years ago, and it's heritable and neurobiological in nature. As probably most of you guys know, its biggest deficit is reading and spelling. So people spell like this. But then the underlying problem is that they can't map letters to sounds, which ends up like this. So does anyone want to give it a try? What this wee boy tries to spell? Exactly, I've heard it here, like Abraham Lincoln. It's perfectly like spelled in the way of sounding it out, but not when you really look at the letters. So this brings me forth to that the brain structure and the different brain structure is actually the really underlying cause and reason for that problem. And with that comes different information processing. But the most important thing to know here is that it's not dependent on IQ. Like dyslexics are very, very smart. And actually they face a really big dilemma in everyday life. Because just like these dinosaurs, they really eagerly want to do something, reading, but they just can't. And this gets quite tricky sometimes. So let me show you, and this is a little example from my own life. Actually, when I was struggling with dyslexia, I was pretty little. So with 2 years old, we flew to the Canary Islands, and global thinking was never a problem. So we flew at night, and I saw the moon. But just for my mom and me, and not my dad. So I put that together. I was like, okay, my mom and my dad was left behind on the moon, like the little guy in the moon, which was quite an interesting connection at that point. But then, however, when I was 10 years old, and this is where all the props come into play, I had severe problems to learn the English pronouns, personal pronouns to be precise. So I go, you go, he should go wasn't really getting into my head. In that sense, my mom, who's even here tonight, that's why I'm acting this out, we were sitting down and she had to bang this really into my head. So we had the Grinch, our lovely friend, as the teacher. The happy dogfish as I, the penguin as you, and the monkey as he, she, it. And then we sat down and I was like, okay, we went through it. I go, you go, he, she, it goes. And I was like, okay, let me give it a try. So I was like, I goes. And the Grinch was like not happy. He was like, no, it's different. I go. All right, cool. Let's give it another try. Okay, it's you goes. Oh no, come on, Leo. It's really like, it's you go. And then of course I was sure I got it. I was like, yeah, come on, shush, I got that. Like, third try. And I was like, he go. Oh, sweet damn Jesus, like, that can't be true. It's just like, and you can't imagine the scenery. Like, it went on and on and on. After a while I got that, but we needed that extra loop with some interesting toys which I could connect to really get that. So this is the little tricky part where you have to make a little detour. Alright, so but this dilemma actually leads to a lot of adversity and facing a lot of adversity for dyslexics. So they face social stigmatization, they get excluded, they get called stupid, retarded, which is completely off the point. But now that's why I'm here, there's hope. Like, actually, dyslexics, when they overcome these challenges, they build an incredibly good resilience, they build really good verbal communication skills, and on top of that, they kind of jump the gap more often than not and build kind of like long-range connections that help them thinking in detours. So this is why there's really a lot of hope left in there. And overcoming all these challenges leads them to be really good at excelling in certain disciplines. So for example, 35% of the dyslexics, of the entrepreneurs in the US are dyslexic. This is like twice as many as in the general population. And we are really interested in why is that some people go into these disciplines and why are some dyslexics better than others. So here I just put up like some interesting dyslexics and famous dyslexics and what do all these people have in common. They have in common that they are very successful, I guess all of you know them. They're pretty wealthy and rich, actually. And they even come from all across the world, even from Glasgow, like Billy Connolly up there on the right. Maybe some of you recognize him. So why is that? Like, why are they better than others? Because they build really interesting long-range connections in their brains, and therefore involving other areas that are normally not involved or not supposed to be involved in reading, because the original ones failed at doing their job efficiently. That's essentially the case. And so the back part here, this area fails, and the frontal part here gets taken into the picture. And this is what these people claim, that they are very creative, they can think in details and better, and this makes them successful. And this is despite or even because they have dyslexia. And you get like someone like Richard Franzen who really advocates for it, and well, uses it for his own marketing, of course, but yeah, he does that. So then, you can imagine these long-range connections as driving on a nice scenic highway in New Zealand. And you drive there, see the ocean, and just want to take a break and want to let your mind wander. And by just taking a little bit longer and letting your mind wander, you pass really, really, really interesting scenery or get to really interesting thoughts. And these thoughts kind of like can be imagined as very fancy bridges in very unusual and challenging places, but they help you out here and get you creative. Same with this one. I think normal people wouldn't really like to build this one. So this is where my PhD started. So we are really interested in how and why people, some dyslexics, are better than others, and what are the effects of font, what are the effects of background color, and audio-visual multisensory integration. So what we do in the lab actually is we have this fancy EEG cap. After trying to recruit our participants in kind of like a CSI Glasgow style, because they have to fulfill a bunch of criteria, and that's quite tricky in psychology to get them. And then we take them, place this lovely cap on them with 64 electrodes, which provides us a window into their ongoing brainwaves every millisecond. So they have to sit there really as soon as possible, and after that, they're actually looking as happy as this fellow here. So that's quite impressive, but I always have to encourage them. And then this is what we found. So the weaker dyslexics, I would call them, show a lower amplitude in the area that fails doing their job. I don't know if you can see that here properly on the turquoise line. And the better ones, the orange line, they come closer to the black one, and especially exactly that's what we found. This back part works better, but on top of that, we found a long-range connection to the frontal part. And this is where the creative thinking comes into play, and they even performed on the same level than controls, which was quite extraordinary in that sense. And so, I've talked a lot about the global thinking and their strength, and now, as I promised in the abstract, I will tell you what occupations are really suitable for them. They are really good in entrepreneurship, as actors, as inventors, pioneers, and especially as directors or like really creative artists. And this is, I think, what we should help them and facilitate their careers in. So, like Richard Franzen, if you have these strengths and if you're dyslexic, don't worry at all, because this can actually earn you a fortune if you just choose the right job, and then you're as happy as this guy, and this is gold for you, having dyslexia actually. So I'm here tonight actually because I want to advocate for neurodiversity and the concept of dyslexia being something positive, which I really think and believe it is. And I would like to ask you to join me in that kind of advocating for it by really keeping the tremendous potential in mind, approaching every dyslexic like any other person and helping them to facilitate their bumpy ride on the road to their success. So I really believe that strongly together we can wire the brain for educational and academic and monetary gain. Thank you.